So in this video, I'm gonna be talking about why men don't approach beautiful women anymore and how attractive men actually flip the dynamic. There have been women that have been posting on social media like Instagram and TikTok, just talking about how, oh, like, why don't men approach women anymore? Like, why aren't we being approached? Why aren't men being assertive and approaching us anymore? And here's the fact of the matter is that whenever women say that, they're really just calling out to the handsome and attractive men that they want approaching them. Because I've been out at bars, lounges, clubs, even when I used to go to clubs. I've been in many different scenarios where I'm constantly seeing men approaching women. They're cold approaching women. I've been out with a friend group of women and I'm seeing guys that are approaching them, and the women in my friend group are just straight up rejecting those men. So it's not that men aren't cold approaching women anymore. It's that women aren't seeing that the men that they want, the handsome and attractive, desirable man, that man in particular is not approaching them. We'll definitely talk about that in this video, but men are still approaching. It's just that women want the handsome and attractive man to approach. So just keep that in mind, because I've asked women a lot. I'm like, hey, how do you feel about men approaching you? And basically every single one says that they don't have a problem with it if it's the man that they want approaching them. And then whenever I ask more in depth about what do they mean when they say that, they all typically say that they want the handsome and attractive man to approach. And a lot of guys are waking up to this. A lot of guys know this, but we're definitely going to dive deeper into what's going on here. The first point is that cold approach rejection rates are just too high for most men to see the ROI on doing them. So I know there are a lot of guys that believe in cold approach. Maybe they've gotten results with cold approaching, but the fact of the matter is that the cold approach rejection rates are just too high for most men to really feel like cold approaching women is a viable and an efficient way of attracting women to them. Can cold approach work? Yes. Have men been able to be successful cold approaching women? Yes, but it's really, the question is, to what degree are you successful at cold approaching? To what degree does cold approach work? And I'm not really here to make the debate as to whether or not cold approach works or it doesn't. Everything works. It's just to what degree does it work? And for your specific dating life and goals, is that something that you want to do to attract women to you? That's really what it comes down to, is preference and the degrees of it working or it not working. But with that being said, a lot of guys are seeing that women are constantly rejecting them. And this is why cold approach is very hard, is because you're really going in blindly when you're approaching women. You don't know if they're taken. You don't know if they're having a bad day. You don't know if they're emotionally available. You don't know if you are their physical type. What else are they going to go off of if they don't know you? If they don't know your personality or anything about you, they're going to go off your looks and your physical presentation. You're just going in blindly with no type of information. That's why you're going to really see that cold approach has high rejection rates, and guys don't want to deal with this. They don't think it's worth their time. And especially the thing about cold approaching, if you're going to be cold approaching more specifically during the day, like if you're at a bookstore, grocery store, coffee shop, the mall, or whatever, a lot of these women aren't in the state of attraction. What do I mean? They're not in the state where like they're actually looking to see a man that they find attractive and hope that man approaches her, or she sends out indicators of interest like choosing signals to that man. They're not in that state because they're too preoccupied with whatever it is that they're doing, like shopping for groceries, looking for a book, shopping for clothes. They're not in the state where they're focused on men in that regard. That's why you see at like bars, clubs, lounges, I know a lot of guys complain about these environments, and I don't go to clubs anymore. I rarely go to nice lounges or bars during the weekends. I'll go to these places during the weekday when there's not that many people there. But I understand that in these different type of environment, these are going to be the different types of environments where you will get more choosing signals. You will see that women will approach or send their friends to approach the men that they find attractive, or women will be more open and receptive to being approached in these type of environments because they're going to be more so in the state where they're looking for men that they can interact with, that they connect with. More specifically, the handsome and attractive and overall desirable man. But nevertheless, women are going to be in a more of an attraction state. That's why you'll see more of these type of interactions happen in these type of environments. But a lot of guys just don't feel like it's worth cold approaching women nowadays because the ROI just simply isn't there because the rejection rates are too high. Cold approach, it's a high volume numbers game, meaning like you have to approach a lot of women to actually get a couple numbers, but then that actually leads to somewhere. And a lot of guys may not have the time for it or just don't have the desire to put in a lot of that time to actually acquire women that way. And especially with it being 2025 at this point in the recording, and as time progresses, there's so many more different ways of meeting new women and meeting people in general, typically through social media or dating apps. And guys feel a way about that, but you have to understand is that, and I broke this down with guys that I work with inside of my group coaching community. But the reason why you see a lot of men and women are meeting each other through social media or dating apps is because both parties can get actual data from the other person. As far as like, if you're on a dating app, number one, dating apps have the intent of you meeting new people. So there's intent behind that. But number two, women can scan you and get a gauge for who you are. She'll obviously see how you look, see the vibe that you give off in your different pictures and or videos and prompts and stuff like that. But they have more data that they can go off of that can then allow them to make a more safe assessment as to whether or not they're going to send you a like, match with you, talk to you, and then even perhaps meet up with you. But in a cold approach scenario, you don't have that. Especially if you're cold approaching a woman, she doesn't have that data. She doesn't have that information that she would otherwise be able to gauge and receive and assess from there. Whereas if you and the woman were meeting on social media, let's say, and she's been following you, she's been seeing you post content, she's been seeing you on your stories, and she's being nurtured by you, there's a sense of familiarity. Like she doesn't only find you attractive, let's say, but she's starting to trust you a little bit more as far as like she's more open and receptive to you. Because there's a saying goes that familiarity breeds trust, right? Familiarity breeds trust. And part of the way that you become more familiar with someone and they start to trust you is that they see you multiple times or they have interactions with you multiple times. And that's a form of nurturing. You're just like planting a seed and then allowing it to grow. Whereas with cold approaching, it's very hard to nurture an interaction, especially if the woman doesn't want to be nurtured by you, right? Because if a woman isn't attracted to you, if she's not available, there isn't really much of a nurturing process that can happen for her to like actually feel a sense of familiarity and trust for you enough to actually want to exchange information and then you guys meet up. And really how far and how much you're going to nurture a woman is really going to depend on her availability and her attraction for you. That's why cold approaching is quite difficult and why the rejection rates are high. And that's why a lot of guys think that's not worth their time. Also, a lot of guys know that women want the handsome, attractive men to approach them. They're seeing this online. Like guys aren't oblivious to this, or at least a lot more men have woken up to the fact that a lot of women want the handsome and attractive, overall desirable man to approach them. So if they don't feel like they're that type of man yet, they're not going to approach these women because they know it's going to be a waste of time and they don't want to have to deal with the BS that comes with that. Which leads me to my third point is that most guys are just tired of rejection, embarrassment, and they just feel like it's a waste of time and energy overall to approach women when, especially if they're not giving you indicators of interest or signals of attraction. A lot of guys think that it's just not worth it to approach women. But on top of the fact that they know women want certain men to approach them, they want the handsome and attractive, desirable man. So a lot of guys just feel like it doesn't make sense to approach them if they're not that type of man. But my thing that I would say to men, and this is why I create the videos that I create, is that try to become that man as much as you can. Now, the fact of the matter is that there are going to be some men that have to resort to cold approach. There are going to be some men that just may not be able to have that type of physical appeal that is going to allow them to attract women to them, whether this is online through social media dating apps or in person through choosing signals like subtle indicators of interest or women sending their friends to approach that man. Like there's going to be men that aren't going to be able to elicit that type of attraction with their physicality. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie to you, but I do believe that the majority of men can get as close to as they possibly can, given what's in their control. I truly do believe that men can get as close to being that handsome and attractive, desirable man. More men, based on their genetics, based on what they have going for them, are going to be closer to being that handsome and attractive man than some men that may not be that dude. But I do believe that most men, regardless if you're born with average genetics, above average genetics, I do believe that most men can maximize what's in their control and become more of that handsome and attractive man. And if you're someone that's been cold approaching women a lot and maybe you're getting rejected, maybe you've been paralyzed by rejection, maybe you're tired of constantly feeling like you're thirsty or like selling yourself on women and instead you want to start attracting more women to you, then I would highly suggest that you check out the free training that I made for you. I'll have a link down below in the description and the pinned comment. I've helped so many guys that used to cold approach that were getting rejected by women. Even guys that were 6 foot plus, by the way, were cold approaching women and they were getting rejected, told that they weren't their type or there was no chemistry there or anything like that. But then once they maximized their physical presentation and actually had a system that they could then use to attract women to them, to where women are coming to them, already wanting them, already pre-sold on them, already attracted to them, then they were able to have a more thriving and abundant dating life and pretty much date on easy mode. Again, check out that free training that I made for you. You're definitely going to get a lot of value from it. But moving on to the next point is that this is why handsome and attractive and overall desirable men focus on women who choose them first, because you're going to just get a better ROI by dealing with women that choose you first. Now, here's the thing is that a lot of these men, they focus on positioning themselves in a way that women can come to them. And at the most higher volume and consistent rate of this happening is going to be through social media and dating apps. I've been saying this a lot and I'm going to repeat it even more. You're going to see more higher volume rates of women choosing you and pursuing you and making more of their attraction and attention for you more overt and direct through social media and dating apps. Because if you think about social media and dating apps, for social media, they're going to be more in a passive attraction state, meaning they're going to get on social media just to see what everyone's up to, the people that they're following, what they're doing. But then when they come across an attractive man that they're following, that man's going to stand out to her. He's going to be more ingrained in her mind, right? He's going to make constant impressions on her mind as far as like her constantly seeing him all the time. And that's going to build more more familiarity, which then will breed trust. And then on top of the fact that if she's attracted to that man, that woman may shoot her shot at that man. She may slide up on his DMs, reply to his Instagram stories because he's being more at the top of her mind. But based on the state that she's in a more passive attraction state where she's like open to, whether she knows it or not, most people don't know this, but she's more open and receptive to coming across a man that she not only finds attractive and desirable, but even shooting her shot. As well as with dating apps are going to be more so an active attraction state where women are going to be actively on there by and large, not every single woman, but by and large, women on dating apps are going to be in the state where they're actively looking for a man to meet up with that they find attractive and desirable. And they will not only send a like, they will not only match with that type of man, but a lot of these women will message first. They will send the first message saying, oh, you're so cute, you're so handsome, hi cutie, hi handsome. Women will do these things for those type of men. You're going to experience this type of behavior from women, typically in the online scenario, such as social media and dating apps, I believe in 2025 and going into 2026. And as time progresses, this is just me. I know there's going to be guys that disagree with this, and that's okay. I'm not trying to debate and shit, but I believe that 80% of the women that you meet when it comes to romantic interests should be 80% of it should be online through social media and dating apps, and then 20% in person while you're living your life. Because we've seen it, man, like the rejection rates are just very high when you're cold approaching women. Even if you are a handsome and attractive man, the woman can find you handsome and attractive, and if you cold approach her, she may be taken, right? Or maybe she just got out of a relationship or out of a situation with a guy that looks just like you. And although you may be handsome and attractive to her, hell, you may even be her exact type. But like I said, if she just got out of a relationship with a dude that looks just like you and she had a bad experience, she's not going to want your type of archetype of man right now. There could be many different reasons why a woman rejects you, but handsome and attractive and desirable men know that it's best to date women that want them, that choose them first. The ROI is there. These women are more feminine, they're more sweet, they're more nice, they're more open, they're more receptive, their availability is open, they're willing to follow your lead. They're just more pleasant overall to interact with, to date, definitely be in relationships with. Like, you want to be in relationships with women that choose you, right? They chose you first. They actually want, that's the key word, they want to be around you. And these are going to be the best women to date. I will say this, I used to be like, don't cold approach women at all. Like, you shouldn't cold approach women. Like, cold approach is salesy, it's needy. And I believe that was that was too much of a black and white viewpoint. And I've since evolved my mindset and philosophy on cold approaching. And really where I'm at now with cold approach is that I believe if you've been able to attract women to you, you've had women choose you first, I do believe then at that point you should be the one approaching women. So if you selectively approach a woman that just catches your eye while you're living your life, while you're at a coffee shop, a bookstore, at the gym, at the mall, like you're doing something that has a specific intent that is independent of meeting women, and you catch a woman's eye, or you see a woman, you notice a woman that's very attractive, she's your type, and you know damn well like you'll be kicking yourself if you don't say something, I believe at that point you should approach that woman selectively. I do believe that. Also, I've had a lot of women tell me that they were intimidated by me. I made them nervous. Women brought their friends to approach me because they felt like I was just this intimidating person. They were nervous. I've had women that I've thought were absolutely gorgeous, stunning. They approached me and told me that the reason why they approached me was because they didn't think that I would have found them attractive enough for me to approach them. So then I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, shit, if I've been told this enough times where it's not delusion, it's not arrogance, it's actual fact and evidence, if I've been told this enough times, how much likely is it that women that I come across, that I find attractive, that I pass by, as I'm just living my life, again, the selective lifestyle approach, that's why I would encourage men who are physically attractive, they've dialed in their physical presentation, they've been able to attract women to them, or at least they're in the process of becoming more attractive. I believe those type of men should then be selectively approaching women. On top of the fact that a lot of women will not only be shy, nervous, intimidated, will feel insecure, but then a lot of women, of course, are conditioned to let the man make the first move. With all these different psychological conditions and behavior traits and all these things going on, how likely is it that I'm passing up women, or women are losing out on the opportunity to get with me because I'm not saying something even though they would want me to? Because I've talked to women that didn't give me any type of choosing signals or anything like that, but our interactions came off as if they approached me, but they were so open, they were so receptive. They still showcase the same behavior traits that I've noticed that women showed me through inbound attraction. And these same women that I started conversations with, they were trying to number close me. They were trying to get at me, and they were acting as if they came to me, even if I was the one that started the conversation with them. And when you're this type of man, and you selectively approach women while you live your lifestyle, and you've been able to attract women to you in the past, and you know that you're that dude overall, you're not going to be thirsty. You're not going to have that thirsty salesy, needy-like energy when you approach women selectively, because you're really just giving them an invitation to get to know you, to come into your world. And that's how my mindset has evolved around cold approach, especially because there's going to be guys that have to do it if they can't generate enough volume of attraction from women in person and or online. But also, I just understand that there's going to be women that may be too shy, too nervous, too intimidated to say something. There's just going to be some women that may be feeling you and are attracted to you, but they may not outright show it. But also, if you're approaching women during the day, a lot of women are too focused and too tunnel vision on what they have going on that they may have not even noticed you, and they may not notice you and then actually choose you on the spot and be open and receptive to you until you say something. So that being said, man, if you're tired of wasting your time cold approaching women, you're tired of getting rejected, you're tired of being told that women are taken or they have a boyfriend, or maybe they're just not interested, or they just come up with whatever lame excuse to let you down, and instead you want to be able to start attracting women to you to where you have the leverage position, but also you're attracting women that are actually pre-sold on you, that actually want to go on dates with you, that are actually into you, and overall having more thriving and abundant dating life, then again, check out that free training that I made for you. I'll have a link down below in the description and the pinned comment. With that being said, I hope you got a lot of value from this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.